Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. It's the Hood Mystic here with a video about raising boys when you are a single mom. Because I think that, I think that the energy is leading me to have these certain types of conversations. These conversations be on my heart. And so I actually took some notes, and because I didn't want to make this like a real emotional video or a video that triggers women into thinking that I don't like women or shit like that. You know how y'all be when we talk about things that are intersectional. Sometimes when you talk about like single women think that you're like not dealing with the men that left the baby, or that it's an attack on women. And that's not the spirit of this conversation. The spirit of this conversation is to give you life-saving advice to make sure that your son grows up to be a man. And you can be the greatest mom in the world. You just might not have the abilities to teach your son how to be a man because you're not a man. And when you look at the world today, if you love your son, you want him to exist in his masculine energy. You don't want him to exist in his feminine energy, because then when he's not around you, he's not going to be able to survive. He's literally not going to be able to survive, because when you do the statistics on the men that fill up the prisons, it's the men who grew up in single parent households, by and large. The reason why is because when a man is emotional, he may do something that is irrational. But a real masculine man is not going to do anything irrational. He's going to calm down, think about it, and then proceed. I appreciate the super chat, Moot. Really do appreciate that. It's not about being emotional and responding to your emotions. As men, we learn that from our mom. And because we don't have the masculine tutelage, we gonna suffer in our relationships, we gonna suffer in our careers, and we gonna suffer in our lives, because masculine energy is beneficial to a man. So if a man does not have masculine energy, testosterone coursing through his blood, right? He is no longer a man. He is more of a beta or a prisoner. He is a prisoner to his emotions. He is a prisoner to his ignorance. He is a prisoner to his arrogance. And a lot of these things translate into actual prisoners in penitentiaries. Actual prisoners in relationships. It's a whole concept such as a beta male in the realm of dating. A beta male is the type of man that wants to do everything that the woman wants to do. And the reason that he is this way is because he tried to be this for his mom. And then he get into a relationship and he just tries to please the woman. He has no vision. He has no direction. So after he does all of the pleasing and the relationship is drained and it docks ashore, all messed up because there was nobody leading or guiding the ship. It was all based upon doing good things for, going on trips and vacations and, pleasuring and providing good energy towards the feminine energy. But there is no masculine discipline or leadership. The relationship is always going to suffer. So when you do not have a man in the household. Now, if you and your baby daddy didn't work out, a brother or an uncle, a grandfather is necessary for a man, because a man is going to learn by observing. So men usually go to prison or go somewhere where it's other men and learn, and that's where they learn their manhood at. Because you can't learn it at home if there is no man in the house. The thing is, you don't want your kid to learn how to be a man in the goddamn prison. That don't even make sense. So it gets to a point where you have to, early in his life, teach him about how masculine energy works. Masculine energy works like you got to lift weights to get stronger. And lifting weights, they hurt. You got to lift weights every day. You got to have a program. You got to have a routine. You just don't magically become strong. You got to work at it. You got to deal with it every day. You got to be the best version of yourself as a man, because the things that you want and desire out of life is going to be completely indicative if you are the person that you say you are. When you have men in feminine energy, they present themselves in one way. You get to know him. He crying himself to sleep every night. And you like, well, I would have never knew. Because a lot of men, if they never had masculine tutelage, this is not something that happens naturally. No man can just wake up on his own and become a man. He might have a beard. He might have, the sexual gender and all of that. But inside of him is a whole woman. It's called the anima. And you have to have a healthy relationship with that anima, or else it's going to become part of your personality. So if you are dealing with if you're in a relationship with a man right now who never had a masculine man in his life, you understand what I'm talking about. Because discipline is how you love yourself from the masculine perspective. And if you are not disciplined unto yourself, then you don't love yourself. Masculinity takes place in your heart. Masculinity takes place in your mind. Masculinity is not based upon how much muscles you got or nothing like that. You have to, and most men don't have a conversation about, well, this is masculine and this is feminine. So you really have to sit and learn and observe it. And this is why it's so important to have a masculine father in the home. It's so important that you choose masculine men to have babies with. When you choose the type of man that you're going to have a baby with, you should think that this is a good man to raise my son if I should have one. This is a good man that can raise my daughter. Y'all should be having conversations about how y'all going to raise the kids and how important it is to develop. Because as a man, I think about growing and developing my children. What's going to happen when they turn 12, 16, and teaching them about working out and things of that nature, and being engaged, fully engaged with their masculine energy so they can get what they want out of life. When I look at men who have been raised by their fathers, they have an advantage over men who were raised without their father. I'm going to say that one more time. Men who have been raised by their fathers have an advantage over men who have not been raised by no fathers. And a little boy cannot force his mother to put a masculine role model in his life. So you as a mom, don't make an excuse. Make it an initiative. And then deal with hate and masculine energy. Because now that you have a son, his development as a son going into a man is required by another man. And if you don't put that man in his life, you are putting him at a disadvantage. Mothers think that they can buy their child's love. I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that. And this is how they can condition the child to desire or want money, to chase money. But since love is discipline, you cannot buy discipline. You cannot buy love. So buying things for your son does not equate to you loving him. It equates to you weakening him. Because within your son is a Mercury energy, a market, a merchandiser, a energy that he can cultivate his talents to become what it is that he was sent on earth to become. But him cultivating this energy is discipline and self-love, so he can be the best version of himself. If you stressing out over buying this little nigga shit for Christmas, you are not forcing him to become the best version of himself. And at the end of his life, he would have hoped to be the best version of himself by cultivating his inner G, his inner chi. That is true love. The spirit and the soul is the only thing that we know of unconditional love. And to cultivate that relationship is the only way that we find love. We learn from men by being with them and observing them in close quarters. We need to get used to, as men, we need to get used to being around other men to learn how to, like good men. Because if you do not strategically if you do not strategically put your son around good men, he's going to find himself around not so good men. He's gonna be in a gang of other dudes and he's gonna stick out like a sore thumb because he's the dude who don't know shit. He's the dude that's the flunky because he doesn't have any masculine energy and he's searching for something that all men need. We all need camaraderie. We all need leadership. We all need to be guided. Men function well in groups. Men function well under guidance and tutelage, but this is something that has to be enacted early, because if a man does not understand this at a young age, the benefits of discipline, he taps into the feminine dark anima, which is centered in rebellion. When you have a rebellious young boy, he is 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and you cannot tell him shit. He is not listening to nothing that you say. Regardless, it could be like, Lil Jimmy, your pants is on fire. Lil Jimmy, your ass is hanging out. Mom, I don't care. I am tapped in to my dark feminine energy right now, and I am rebellious. It's called the enema, the dark enema. In the Bible, it is Lazarus' sisters, Martha and Rebecca. Well, Mary and Martha, rather. I'm sorry. Mary is the one that is submissive and receptive to Christ when he come to the house. And Martha like, I don't know about all of that. You hungry? You want something to eat? Constantly being rebellious. And a man and a little boy, a 17, 18, 19, 16-year-old boy, have no business being rebellious. A 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old boy need to be in his fucking lane. He need to know that he don't know a fucking thing about life. He ain't been through shit. He don't know shit. And it's best if he learn. He'll be better off if he learn and be receptive. But you don't teach a child to be receptive by the time you get 15, 16, 17. You don't program your child. You don't program your child later in life. You program your child early in life. And you program your child not by telling him about masculine energy. You give him the living example of masculine energy. You let your boys fight. You don't raise a only child boy. You don't have an only child boy and a single mom. He has no masculine blueprint to follow, and you cannot follow. I can't go. My neighbor's daddy is not my daddy. The nigga that I'm watching on TV is not a real role model. That's an edited, conceptual idea of what a person should be. You gotta know how a man carry himself 24/7. Because if you don't, you will get into a relationship with a man who do not have a father, a man who have not told him the lessons of being with or honoring or treating a woman. And the only thing that happens in these relationships in 2023 is that women like the man so much. And if he not a man that knows how to reciprocate or initiate energy, because men are scared to talk to women now, because most of the men have been raised by women who haven't been taught masculine energy is going to approach a woman. Not even approaching a woman, but having your shit together to whereas when you approach a woman, you got all of the boxes filled. Like you're not approaching her in a space where you really wasting your time or wasting her time. When you have your shit together, you approach her and you show her a different world. You show her something amazing. But so many times men who don't have masculine influence, they tend to go into a relationship with nothing to offer a woman. And you know why? Because their mom did not teach them that. Their mom, this is going to ruffle feathers, I don't matter. Their mom had no standards in when they was dealing with their dad. So their mom not even going to tell them, you got to have your shit together personally, because their daddy didn't have their shit together personally. Their mama gave their daddy some pussy because she liked him so much. It's exceptions to the rules, but we talking about majority. And I ain't talking about you personally. I don't know your personal story. I ain't talking about you personally. I'm just talking about how shit is. And if you find yourself in a situation with if you have a son and you love him, you put him around men and you deal with your barriers and blocks to men and you develop discernment for men. It's men in karate. Check. It's men in football. Check. It's men playing basketball. It's men in lacrosse. It's men playing soccer. It's men in acting. It's men all over the planet doing shit. Keep your son in environments with men where he playing sports all the time. Or he with his brothers, or he with his daddy. He emerged in masculine energy. Because masculine energy is going to keep your son out of jail. Masculine energy will make it so that your son ain't going to die through gang or gun violence. Because a lot of our men suffer like that. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video. Thank you, Will, for the donation. I do appreciate it. I just did a reading, and before I did my reading, I took these notes, and I said after the reading, I was going to do this video. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know who this can help. It helped me. Just really working through some shit for personally, you know, because it's like we could look at being raised by single mothers as like a success story and shit. But when you get into relationships and you start to live your life, it kind of becomes a thing that is like, damn, I never took into account how this really affected me in a negative way. And so if I could ever do it over again, I would have made sure that growing up, I surrounded myself with men my whole life. Because the reason why I did this video is because I knew for a fact that I was going to go to prison. Appreciate it, Stray. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for the donation. I knew as a young man that I was going to prison. I was a good kid. I was a straight A student. And the dudes that I was hanging around with, when I first hung out with them, we was at the basketball court. I was kind of like the nerd of the neighborhood, always on computers and shit, wearing glasses. I told them niggas like, yo, I'm gonna go to college and y'all niggas gonna go to jail. And them niggas was laughing at me because they knew I was a flunky. They knew I was going to do the dirty work. And when it came to, oh yeah, we gonna hold this over your house, Kyrie. Okay, guys, you can hold it over here. I was so green. If I had a daddy, you think my daddy gonna let me crash out like that? Like an active father in my life, you think he gonna let me crash out like that? Ain't no way. However, no fault to nobody, I ended up in prison because of the actions that I made. Because I didn't even know what life was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know that through discipline, through cultivation, that I could be a great man. That I could write a book. I could build myself up. I could live an upstanding life. I could not be such a fuck up. You know, I could change some shit, you know? I didn't know that I had the capability to do these particular things because I had no masculine influence in my life. And you got to be clear. I'm not saying man. Because you could have your son around a man and he's not a man. We talking about masculine energy. We talking about transformation. The knowledge of transformation is masculine energy. And my mom taught me a lot of positive and great things that helped me to become the man that I am today. But when it came to becoming a man, she didn't have the capabilities to explain the intricacies and the ins and outs of masculine energy. I had to learn it from Mr. Sharp in prison and the prison guards and trials and tribulations and shit. But I learned it, and I'm still learning every day. But if you got a young son and you love them and you want them to be the best version of themselves, that's not your responsibility to bring that out of him. You can't do that. Buying him a PS5, keeping him occupied and stopping him from crying and all of that is not love. It's pacification. And it's a lot of young men that grow up looking to be pacified. And think about the man that you are raising. You have an opportunity for him to cultivate his God-force energy, his chi, through discipline and self-realization. And you got this nigga playing a PS5 all day. You bought that PS5 for him. You worked hard. You took a couple of days worth of your hard-earned working that you be complaining about money all the time and bought this man this PS5 so he could, shut the fuck up. But you didn't never tap in to his masculine energy and say, nigga, if you want that PS5, you gonna come up with a business and you gonna make the money for this PS5. It's $500. What we doing? We selling lemonade, popsicles. What we doing, nigga? I work hard for my money, and I'm not gonna ever play this fucking PS5. I'm not even gonna touch the PS5. What make you think I'm gonna work at my job for 8 hours on my feet talking to customers to buy your fucking crusty ass a PS5? And you just gonna sit back with your hands behind your head like, yeah, mommy got it. You raising a fucking psycho. You raising a nigga that do not need a girlfriend, that don't need a wife. Cause guess what he gonna do when he get into a relationship? Babe, when is you gonna pay the rent? You know the rent is due. What you doing, babe? Why you not taking care of me? You supposed to work? A nigga would think that a girl is supposed to work a 40-hour week. Real talk, this is what they think. You gonna work. Not only work, you gonna cook, you gonna clean, you gonna take care of all of the kids, and you gonna suck my dick. And you gonna suck my dick and give me sex as much as I want it. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care how you feel. You are my mom now. Because my mom, guess what my mom did? She worked, she cooked, she cleaned. She bought me PS5s. Can't go out like that. But I'm going to get off this live because everything is starting to glitch up. But I'll see y'all later. Peace.